Welcome to Afternoon Garage. So last week, we did the valve seals and the rocker shaft seals and feel pretty confident about that. Now I don't really have much valve clearance on any of these valves. I've kind of spun the motor around to where I'm top dead center on different cylinders, and man, I'm pulling on them and well, there's really not a whole lot of clearance there. So really curious to see where these are set at, and we'll kind of go over exactly the best way to maybe adjust these things. Now keep in mind, this thing's out of the vehicle. Most of the time people do valve adjustments at, 3,000 miles or maybe at every oil change. A lot of people do more valve adjustments than others, and this is typically done in the vehicle. This is going to be a little bit difficult in the vehicle compared to how I have it out here, but at least, we got the video camera on it. We'll be able to exactly see kind of what you need to do when the engine's in the vehicle, and really feel sorry for the guy who has to do this in the car. So let me show you those tight rockers. Alright, this is our number one cylinder, and I got it lined up at top dead center, and how I know is that the marks on the crankshaft actually line up with the marks on the engine here. Another way you know you're at top dead center is the rocker actually contacts the cam at the lowest point, so you pretty much know this is top dead center for number one. So what I'm noticing here is, well, there's a little bit of play here. There's absolutely nothing here. So I know that valve's not open. I can look down inside of here and see it's not being held open by anything, but yet there's no clearance. And as a matter of fact, when I was looking at a lot of these, as I've been working on this engine, man, there's no play in any of these things, and I'm not really quite sure why there is. There's a little bit in some. Like I said, there's a little bit here. You're gonna hear that tapping. I gotta say, I'm a little perplexed as to why there's no clearance in any of these things, but probably never figure that out, but I'll just go and adjust them all anyway, and then probably going to check them after, a few thousand miles of driving. So first what we need to do is find an appropriate feeler gauge. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. You look on the internet, there's the backside method in which you actually measure the rocker against the cam with a 2.5 thousandths and a 3 thousandths feeler gauge. It's a go, no-go type situation, and I really don't like that method, although it's very difficult to kind of get a feeler gauge, underneath the tappet to measure the valve clearance, because there's just really no room in there. So what I have was, this is specifically a valve adjusting set of feeler gauges. They're kind of bent in 45 degrees, but the problem with this is it only goes down to, well, I'm seeing 5 thousandths. Regular type feeler gauge would probably work well for for the backside method, to where you actually measure the clearance of the cam. Like I said, that's a really small measurement, and I don't really know how accurate that's going to be. So you kind of take it in this way instead of getting underneath the rocker here. So I'm not going to use that either. So this is what I purchased here. So this is about $15, $20. Has a 4 thousandth feeler gauge on it. They're kind of replaceable, and you can kind of get underneath here and swing it underneath the valve tappet and the valve head here. Boy, it's a difficult thing to do. So I think what I'm going to do to make this a little bit easier is back these off a turn, get this feeler gauge up in there, and then maybe clamp it down and set the valve lash that way. Just remember to rotate, and the cylinder you're working on has to be in top dead center, and adjust that valve lash. Should be interesting to see how far these are out. Okay, there's really no play in this, so I really can't get this tool underneath there, so I'll have to loosen it up. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to back it off like half a turn there. There we go. And it's very loose. So what we'll do is we'll tighten it up. You want just a little bit of drag. And you can see the orientation of this changed very, very little. So that's a little loose. Okay. There, and that feels pretty good right there. Yeah, that has a little play in it. Okay, this one here is a little more difficult. Like I said, it has a little bit of play in there already. So we'll try to put this in there like it is. There we go, and I got it in there. Feels a little bit loose, so we'll tighten it up just a tad. And then that's a little bit tight. There we go, that's pretty good. So you got a little play in there. So now we're going to rotate 120 degrees. The next one in the firing order is number 6. Okay, that's your 0 mark right there. We've got 120 degrees, that should be the next mark. This one here has no play whatsoever. And a little bit of play. All right, we'll turn it another 120 degrees and just follow the firing order. 162435, I believe, and hey, should have these valves adjusted and ready to go. All right, those all have some play in it now, and that's really good. So, doing the valve adjustment was definitely beneficial. I don't know if any of these valves were held open, but boy, if they were, that's a really bad thing. And it was like that before I ever started my work, so I know it had nothing to do with maybe contamination on the rocker shafts or something I missed, but man, some of these were just so tight and with no valve clearance, kind of tells me the guy who was working on this before probably didn't know what he was doing. Hey, if you like content like this, there's much more to come. Please subscribe and, well, thanks for watching.